Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to episode 18 of In the Red Corner. What are we? We are Thursday, the 3rd of December, 6:21, and we're finally in the same room doing a podcast. Cheers, right?
Cheers, sir.
I like this.
Been a long time coming.
Yes, it has. Nearly enough half a year. But here we are. We made it. And thanks for everybody who's tuning in. We do appreciate you coming back after all this time. Well, we start with an opening question. My opening question to you, as we come to the end of this year, we've all had it a bit rough, as we know. Who, of all the people we've kind of been talking about, or all the people we've featured this year, who's had the worst year? There's so many candidates for people who've had a terrible year.
Dan Andrews.
Dan Andrews has had a terrible year, and he's actually come out of it in the end quite well.
Well, now he's not. Yeah,
he's all right now, but he had a rough few months there. I reckon March through about November, he was copping some flack.
Yeah,
poor Dan. And in the end, he had it right, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say the same for Boris, but he's still on his ass.
He's not done yet. He might have about 2021.
He's got Brexit to deal with still. Just when he thinks the COVID's over. Yeah. No, it was pretty bad.
And Trump always cops a lot of flack.
He lost his job.
well, at the moment, who knows? But it's all politicians, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. I think there's some football managers who've had bad years. No man, Ollie. He's not terrible. He's not the smoothest year, I would say.
No. He's always fighting for his job, isn't it? Every game he's fighting for his job.
Yeah.
Which is not ideal. You kind of want to be winning leagues.
Yeah, no, you do. You do. I just feel like he's always about a game away from losing his job. Arteta, right now, he started off quite well, won an FA Cup, and it's gone downhill from there. It's rough.
You look at the bottom of the league now, Chris Wilder, and they're not, the heights of Sheffield United last season to.
Yeah,
it's been pretty tough.
So mighty have fallen.
Rodgers missed Champions League football when it was a lock before
the restart. Yeah. Another one. McGregor's had a shit year. He came out all guns blazing.
Yeah.
Said he was going to have
the season,
and he's had
can't fight because there's no fans.
No, he was going to cycle across the ocean. That didn't happen because he.
Deontay Wilder's had a bad year.
Yes, man. Has he fought? When was the?
No, he got chinned. He got chinned in February.
Was that February then?
Tyson
exactly. Too, yeah.
And there's no chance of his stock is just.
Yes, because he keeps releasing mad.
Well, exactly.
Excuses.
And now, they all talk about, those three being at the top.
Yeah.
And now suddenly it's Joshua and Fury.
Yeah.
And he's just fallen well away. He'll be with like the Whites and he'll be in the Povetkin and the.
What's that fellow from New Zealand?
Joseph Parker. Yeah, he's in that category.
There's fights over him, but you're not fighting for a world championship, are you?
No.
Speaking of that, Joshua fighting next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so and they're getting fans in as well.
In the UK?
There are like 1,000 fans. How much will tickets be for that?
Jesus, we get 1,000.
Oh yeah, all VIP box, £5 ticket.
No, we don't average Joe in there. Absolutely.
In England, sure.
Jesus. No. I think, to sum it up, there's no one who's had a worse year than Leon Edwards. No one.
I had a feeling you was going to say that.
It's been literally my number one topic. Everyone's getting the Spotify most played music playlist today. My most spoken about person is Leon Edwards. I mean, it's because I like him, but he's just always in the news or in the headlines for the wrong reasons. He's played the year terribly, and he finally got something going, which was still risky, and then he gets COVID. Right. What are we? 2 weeks out from his fight?
I reckon I've not had it, but I reckon I would rather have COVID than fight Kamzat-Chimaev.
Yeah, that's true. He's been running around Birmingham licking lampposts, hasn't he?
I think so. Because I know. So yeah, he's had a worse year, but maybe he's not. Maybe if he has to go to the hospital for COVID, then at least he's not.
Apparently, it was a bad one. Apparently, it was like a bad bout of COVID. Yeah. But it was weird because the first kind of rumor of it was that Hamzat had COVID and he pulled out.
Yeah, I saw that. Because when you messaged me, you said kind of, it was like, oh no, and I was like, oh, yeah, Kamzat's got it. And then he tagged me in that post on Instagram. I was like, Dean Edwards got COVID.
Yeah, it was really weird. And it was almost like someone got wind of it and maybe released it too soon. You know, they got wind that that fight was off. Something to do with COVID, and they must have released it about Hamzat first, and it actually wasn't him. I don't know what happened. It was a bit weird, but that year, you know, he was his headline fight with Woodley was the first event that got cancelled. Couldn't get another matchup. Yeah, that was March, wasn't it? UFC London. Couldn't get another matchup. Nobody wants to fight him. He didn't get any of the title shots. Then he got stripped of his ranking because he wouldn't take the risky fight with Hamzat, which is probably quite understandable. And then he gets it reinstated because he takes the fight, and then 2 weeks out he gets COVID. He's had the worst year.
But at least he took the fight. At least he didn't run away and then get COVID anyway. You know what I mean? At least he.
That could be worse.
Yeah, at least he went. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Do you reckon they'll just rebook it next year?
Yeah, I think so. But knowing Chimaev, you know, we was talking kind of last week about fighter of the year, and he'll want to fight.
I thought that as well, but it's funny now that, you know, did you see how much everyone called him out once he had the fight signed with Leon? No one said a peep since. No one said diddly squat since he. Like, everyone should be. If they want to fight him, now's your chance. Jump in, because you can headline the card. The likes of I don't know if it was Neil Magny. I don't know if you said.
I think they'll get it. I think Magny will jump in.
We should hear something. Because we're the 3rd now, and the fight's on the 19th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got to be like 2 weeks out.
I could see him jumping in, and then what a badass move that is. Yeah, everyone's like, "Oh, Neil Magny's tough."
If somebody jumps in on short late notice and beats him, unreal.
Fight of the year right there.
Yeah, just give it to them. But you've got to go straight to the top 5, really, because
you would.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You're giving him Leon Edwards and basically saying, if you beat him, you're straight in for a title shot. If you're Neil Magny, you'd be like, well, I'll fight him, but if I beat him, I'm in that top 5. So yeah, that's interesting. This weekend's card's not great. Who have we got on the card? The first one I noticed was your mate Damon.
Jackson.
David Jackson being fortunate. He's fighting on the prelims. So it's his second fight. He had a great debut though. Which I'll give you props. You called that one.
Yeah,
nice submission finish.
Made it look like I was an expert. Submission finish to beat Mirsad Bektic as well.
Yeah.
Submission.
Yeah. So yeah, he's on the prelims. We've also got, what's his name? Louis Smolka is fighting Jose Quinones. I think that's also on the prelims. But that was I'm not sure if they both fought Sean O'Malley. Quinones definitely fought Sean O'Malley. They're both decent prospects as well. It's a shame that they're both on the prelims.
Yeah, well, I think on the Woodley card, it was Smolka versus Casey Kenny. I think that was the big Smolka fought Kenny, and Kenny got the win. But Smolka still looks pretty good, and
a good match.
A lot of people talk about Smolka as an up and comer, and you can see is that headlining the prelim?
I think I'm pretty sure it must be.
So you can see why 2 prospects. Yeah.
Got a chance. You know, if you win that one headline in a prelim, you shoot back up that card, don't you?
Yeah.
No, that'll be good. And then the main event is you've got to feel for Jack Hermanson in a way, because he's had 3 different opponents now in the space of a couple of months. He was supposed to be fighting Till pulled out with his knee injury, and then got Kevin Holland, who we spoke about last week for fight of the year, because he's just stepped in on late notice. He's fought 4 times already this year on Fight Island. In Vegas. Deservedly got this fight, got his big opportunity, and another one went down with COVID. It mustn't be that bad though, or he must have had a bit of lead time on it, because he's been rebooked, hasn't he?
Yeah, Jack Ray.
So he's going to fight Jack Ray literally the week after. So I'm glad for Kevin Holland. I feel like he deserved, as did Leon Edwards, but I feel like Kevin Holland deserved to have his shot, getting that 5 fights.
Again, fighter of the year, And it was just, he obviously wants to get back in there, and like you say, he probably needed an extra 7 days to be in that kind of 14 days clear or whatever it would be. But I think going back to Vettori, you mentioned Hermanson having kind of this the 3rd opponent. I reckon the last time that happened, main event wise, would have probably been Khabib. Do you remember Raging Al took it? Do you remember when it should have been Holloway as well? Should have been Ferguson. It was Ferguson, then it was Holloway for like 2 days, or a day, and then it got to like the Thursday, and he pulled out for an injury. And then it was like day before a pay-per-view, and Reginald goes, I'll take it. And Reginald took him 5 rounds.
Did well, didn't you, Reginald? I always wonder with that one, because he's not done well since. Like, Reginald's really fallen out of the refereeing.
Yeah.
I always wonder whether Khabib, but so
Took it
there's a
easy.
chance. Well, not so much took it easy, but he was like, I'll stand with him. Like, I'll have a go. I think I can beat him anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll have a go. Because he stood for quite a long time, didn't he? Almost tried to box with him, and everyone was like, what are you doing?
Well, you talk about Khabib. I actually saw, I don't know if you saw it on Instagram today, but Rafael Dos Anjos uploaded a video when he fought Khabib, right? And he had his arm under his neck, choking him. And you see, and he's like on the floor, and Khabib, you see his hand come out, and it goes like that, but then he must slip or something, and then gets out. But and Dos Anjos uploads it, and it's like, you see his hand come out, and he goes,
he's just about to tell.
and then Dos Anjos said, I've been the close, like, he talks about choking McGregor, and it was in response to him saying, well, I choked Poirier, I choked Conor, I don't need that fight again, type of thing. And Dos Anjos said, well, if you're talking about choking, you was nearly snoring. And it's like, this how close, watch it after the podcast, watch it, and you're like, there's only like a quick clip, and you can see his hand come out, it's like,
that'll be unreal. What a way to, I'm interested to see how RDA goes in the next, whoever he gets in his next fight. I really hope it's Michael Chandler. I hope that's who he gets. We spoke about this last week, but I hope that's who he gets. So now we've ended up with Hermanson and Vettori. Vettori will be an interesting one because he's a tough dude. He's not very well liked, and I don't think doesn't do himself any favors with the MMA media or all the fans, to be honest with you. But I don't think you can argue with his record. And he, interestingly, it's probably the toughest test is the Adesanya's had. And it was a while ago, it was 2 years ago. It wasn't Adesanya's first fight in the UFC, but it was one of his first fights. And he took him to a split decision.
Yeah.
And people will say that Adesanya's a much more evolved fighter now. But yeah, he probably is. But still.
But so's Vettori.
I think it's going to be a really tough test. I think, he's just not got that likability factor, which has probably really hampered him. I think skills-wise, he's right up there in that division. Good wrestler. He's a big guy. He's powerful. He's just got the personality of a wet mop. And he needs to. If he wants to get a win here, he needs to rock that mic afterwards and I don't know, get some credibility back or get a bit of. I don't know. I feel like he owes the media one if he wants him to like boost him up a little bit. Yeah. But I wonder where the fight will take place because obviously Hermanson's going to want to take him down and work his submissions on him. And I think Vettori might be quite comfortable down there, with his wrestling background.
Well, both of them are coming off submission wins.
Right. Okay. So
well, I know Hermanson's was more high profile because it was Gastelum and it was so quick. Was it like? Yeah. Was it?
It was within the first minute.
Yeah, I was going to say it wasn't more than a minute, was it?
Yeah, it was ridiculously quick. Yeah. He might pose a bigger threat than. I'm not saying that he's a better fighter than Till, but he might pose a bigger threat than Till because you know what you're going to get with Till, where he's going to have to stand and strike with, and he's going to have to stop the takedown, I suppose. Whereas this one could be a much better matchup, especially for the fans, because it might be a real battle on the floor.
Might try and sub each other.
Yeah, so that's we might have ended up with a better fight this weekend. So not a great card, but that main event would be really interested in. The winner of that, he's right up there in that middleweight division. Maybe Robert Whittaker's watching for the winner of that potentially. Yeah,
and it's one thing to know. I would say on the co-main, we spoke about Ovince St. Preux.
Oh yeah.
And he, not saying I think that me in particular was quite critical of him before the fight, but I think he surprised a lot of people and surprised both of us the way I think it was like a second round knockout or something. I've never seen him look good with his hands, his footwork. He was slipping, he was in and out, and it was.
You forget that he's got that power because
it was very like Jones-like. It was that slick.
Yeah. It
was very John Jones.
I just couldn't believe the power he had. I completely forgot that he possessed that power because you just used to seeing him, going for those submission wins. It's funny you mentioned that because he does lead on to last week's winner. So last week's main event ended up being the main event headliner, Anthony Smith and Devin Clarke. Smith looked amazing. I don't know what you thought, but it was a short fight. But I think he was smart. I think he walked into. As soon as that bell went, he walked across and Clarke started throwing bombs, didn't he? And it was smart. Usually you see Smith in the past, he's like bitten down his mouthpiece and he'll scrap back, won't even brawl. Yeah. Whereas I think he had his smarts about him and he was like, I don't want any of this. and went straight to the floor. And he was obviously just super dominant down there. His black belt jiu-jitsu showed. It was just a good performance. He needed that win though.
Yeah.
He needed it.
Yeah, he was trying to get, he was saying in the interview afterwards, he was trying to get a twister, wasn't he? But he couldn't get it to the end of that triangle. But one thing, so in the build-up to the fight, and obviously we were pretty bummed that Lewis and Blades obviously got caught, obviously. But one thing I thought was very strange, not so much strange, but in the build-up, in kind of like the video packages that the UFC do, Devin Clarke goes, oh, I think it was like a family member or something, he goes, oh, I promised such a body, like my mum or whoever, that I'm getting a first round knockout or something. It's like, so you're basically telling us, and you're basically telling Anthony Smith that I'm coming flying at you, and I'm going to try and knock you out. So Anthony Smith took that on board and go, right, so the fight plays out, he tries to throw these bombs, and he goes, I know what he's going to do. It's like, this is what he wants to do. So now you're playing in my world. And again, before the fight, last week, we was both critical of Anthony Smith about the way he was losing and the mental and all that. And we said he's got to make a statement, he's got to put on a performance, and he did.
Absolutely did. The question now is what's next, and that's why I mentioned coming off the back of OSP. If OSP gets a win here, he's obviously ranked quite a bit below Anthony Smith, but he's been up in that top rankings before, hasn't he? I think when you look above the rankings, and I know Anthony Smith will won the challenge because that's the type of guy he is, but you look above those rankings, it's a lot of people that have already beaten him, and it's a lot of people that are already matched up, really. I think he's going to have to, unfortunately for him, take another tough, hungry up-and-comer who's below him in that division, you know, somewhere between 10 and 15. And if he gets that win, then it's probably a top 5 opponent, someone who's above him. And there's so many options there. The division's great at the minute. OSP, if he gets a win, it's a great matchup because they've got, again, both wizards on the floor. The other one for me, Paul Craig, coming off a big win, both wizards on the floor. And sometimes that means they cancel each other out and we end up getting this awesome stand-up battle. Right? So that's interesting to me. Is there anybody else in that division you can think of?
Well, Jimmy Cruz trying to get the fight, isn't
he? Jimmy Cruz. I think he might be shooting above his little bird.
But shooting the shot, you know, in terms of a call, you know, it's not unrealistic. It's not outlandish.
No, and it's not a terrible matchup either. No. Jimmy Cruz he's got power and he's looked great. He's just not got nowhere near the experience that Anthony Smith has. But for someone in Cruz's position, shoot a shot. It's not, like I say, it's a bit outlandish, but it's not ridiculous.
I want to see Craig. I really want to see Paul. We're fans of Paul Craig.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. Yeah. I think he deserves that because Smith won't like us saying it, but he's on the verge of being a stepping stone, isn't he? And he's the person that he'd be like, if you beat Anthony Smith, you're in the top 5. Smith wants to still be a contender, but I don't think the UFC sees him like that until he gets a few more wins.
To make Shogun tap strikes is pretty impressive.
Yeah, but I think Craig will fancy himself there as well, though. Yeah, I think he really will. And Smith will again. He's always got his back to get against the wall now, so he's got something to prove, hasn't he? So it's going to be really interesting.
It'd be like it could play out like this week's main event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tony Manson could be very Smith and Paul Craig, like both comfortable on the floor.
Yeah.
Both love to fight. Both, you know.
Yeah.
In kind of any area can take it there. Interestingly, one final point. I mentioned Shogun. Like Dana was saying, and it's right, you know, Dana was saying, like, he was very critical saying Shogun's done, like, it wasn't the Shogun that kind of people know, etc. And then you look at Shogun's record, he's lost 1 in, like, the last 8.
Yeah.
Shogun.
Yeah.
And then he lose, and it was devastating fashion by Paul Craig, but that just shows how good Paul Craig is.
Yeah.
And then Dana's like, nah, he's done, finish. It was like, mate, you let Anderson Silva fight all this time.
It's funny how that happens, and then you can tell there's people that are looking to cut. But even like BJ Penn, how many times did BJ Penn have to get like embarrassed before? And I know he's kind of dropped him off now, but I don't think he's ever, you know, I don't think they've ever cut BJ Penn. I don't think they've ever like retired him. I think he's just not doing it.
And that's not counting all the street fights he was getting involved in that was losing as well.
How many more L's on his record was he have?
He's lost like 12 on the bounce.
Yeah, so that's this weekend's card. Sorry, it's a good thing about the UFC, even though you might on paper it might not look incredible, but the matchups are always great, and I guarantee that there'll be some fights on that card that will surprise us, and it'll be really good entertainment. So I'll be looking forward to that. Any other business in the UFC? For me, I noticed this week there was a weird comment made by Dana about Yair Rodriguez.
Wow.
I don't know if you saw that. I think it was in the post-fight press conference for after Anthony Smith. He somebody asked a question when we'd see Yair Rodriguez again, and Dana did that thing where he looks over at his press officer or his PR officer or whatever.
Can I answer?
Can I answer this? And they were like, no, we've not released it yet. He got pushed for an answer, but he was basically saying it was none of the UFC's business, but we wouldn't see Yair Rodriguez again for a while. So when I heard that, the first thing you think is that's USADA. He's popped hot for something. But then I thought, usually when someone pisses hot, USADA just releases it up to the UFC,
and that is UFC business.
And that, well, kind of is, yeah. I mean, I don't know whether Dana meant it's not us not giving him a fight. It's Yair's problem. It sounded like USADA, but I don't think it is, because I just think USADA they wouldn't be hiding it. They just release it, don't they?
Is it personal? Is it,
It's personal, it's legal. Possibly. He's always had a rough relationship with the UFC. Like he's been cut before, hasn't he? Because he turned down too many fights. I don't know. It was just a bit weird.
Wasn't it Yair Rodriguez? And I can't remember if it was his fault or not. Well, it's not really his fault. But wasn't it a Yair Rodriguez card when they went to like Mexico or somewhere, and the fight stopped after like 5 seconds from like an eye poke, and it was done, and then people were like throwing beers.
So he kicked off with Bisping.
Yeah, and then like Anik and Rogan, and like Anik was like under the table and stuff, like it went off. That was Yair Rodriguez.
That was it. That was him and Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah, okay.
The first time, and then they rebooked it. Yeah, he almost like kicked off with Bisping.
Yeah.
When he was trying to interview him.
Yeah.
Bisping was about 2 foot tall.
Stop it.
Yeah, he's a bit. I don't know. It was a bit of I don't know. He's a bit of an odd character, I think. But his record speaks for itself. He's got an incredible record. He's a really good fighter. It's just one of those guys that doesn't really get on with the UFC very well. He doesn't want to play ball. So, that was interesting. Did you watch the Mike Tyson card? What did you think of Tyson?
Surprisingly better than expected.
Yeah.
I think.
I was very negative last week going into it. I was like, it's going to be like this. It's going to be just 2 old fellas who are just knackered. Yeah. And, it's just, you just watch it and you're like, oh, lads, why are you doing this? I was so wrong. They both showed, I thought, incredible technique. Still got it. Like, you can tell that they're just natural boxers. They've done it all their life. Yeah. Even though they've both of them respectively been out of the ring for a little while now. Tyson much longer than Jones Jr.
Yeah.
But yeah, they looked incredible. And Tyson more so with his gas tank. For someone who's 54 and has been out of shape for a while, I thought it looked incredible.
He could have gone another 5 rounds, I reckon.
Yeah.
Could have been another 10-minute season.
Yeah. And the result was a draw in the end, but
I think it was a draw. I think they had to give it a draw in the first place because there was no winner. I think it was always a draw.
Everyone.
But then the way it transpired, you go, it's not really a draw. Tyson, like Roy Jones didn't win now.
No, I don't think so. I thought his movement was really good. Like incredible jab, able to move and spin out.
I think mine would. If I was against Tyson, I think I would find some speed to get out.
You're gonna get out of the way. But yeah, Tyson's body shots. I mean, it's what we expected. He was going to put him against the ropes, vicious body shots.
Yeah.
I think he was going for the knockout. I know he wasn't supposed to, but I think he was going for the knockout.
You can't stop him.
No, you can't. The nice thing you can see for Tyson, he just like he was enjoying himself, and he wasn't even annoyed that it was like a draw. He wasn't overly aggressive. Yeah. He looked at home, I thought.
And I think that's because the whole exhibition was about this humanitarian thing. And
Can't mention that, didn't he?
Yeah, and afterwards he said it's not about kind of me. It's I entertain the people. The crowd's happy. I was thinking crowd. The crowd's happy. And,
all 3 of them.
All 3 of them. And like that's what it's about now. And maybe he's enjoying himself because for the first time ever, it's not about him. It's not about wins and losses, and it's not about Tyson, like the machine and the animal Tyson and the Don King and the pressure and all that. It's like, no, now I'm an entertainer, and if it makes people smile, well, that's kind of what my job is now, as opposed to I've got money in the bank, I'm set for life.
Yeah,
it's about entertaining people, and I think maybe that's what this new Tyson is. The kind of pressure's off, and I can still box.
Be interesting to see how it kind of unfolds, I guess. How it progresses, whether it can keep up the standard. Because it was a great one. They're talking about this League of Legends thing, aren't they? And, there's talk of Holyfield now. maybe coming back and having his trilogy with Tyson, which would be awesome because there was a bit of more bad blood there, wasn't there? Yeah. So that I would be interested to see if it's something that they want to continue with, or it's just like a one-off every so often. And whether they do it in the UFC, if Dana gets involved and starts bringing back all the old fellas. And
so a rumor I've heard is this League of Legends will not just be boxing. I've heard that it's going to be a cross sport. So, for example, it could be like the Harlem Globetrotters versus an NBA the old boys against someone, or I think it's going to go into different sports where it's the League of Legends. So it's a bit like Masters football.
Yeah,
like
look at
these
the
guys.
Legends games. I know Liverpool United do all that.
And into the whole soccer age stuff and all that. So there's some sort of market there. Obviously, it's cross some sort of thing with you want to see the old nostalgia.
I quite like
it. Yeah, you want to see the older boys.
It's tough, isn't it? They can't charge too much for it because it is.
Yeah. It can't be
you can't always. This title was a pay-per-view, wasn't it?
I think it was 60.
I think it was 50 or 50 or 60. But interestingly, first kind of review I think of the pay-per-view stats, it made more money than Fury Wilder 2.
What, Tyson?
Yeah, Tyson did. More buys, and I think it was slightly cheaper, but he had way more buys.
Oh, I want to know.
Which is quite funny.
I want to know the figures who bought UFC 255 when you got Figueiredo and Shevchenko, because everybody in the world knew that them two were winning.
Yeah, I don't think that would have done well.
Like 10 people bought that, I think.
No, and that's the thing, is it depends. There's got to be a vested interest, and it's got to be competitive, because you can have the old boys, but if it's really old boys, and none of them can say if it was the Liverpool United and it's all these ex-players who kind of fat and can't run anymore, I won't pay them for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, exactly. I'll watch it, but I'm not paying to pay for it.
Yeah.
So you've got to figure out how you do it, don't you?
Yeah, they've got to start something, whether it's with a certain TV network and get somebody else.
There's a market for it, and it's it's a good laugh and it's nostalgic, and you can watch it with your dad because it's it's his generation, and it's kind of
how good they were.
But you just can't do a Mike Tyson type pay-per-view every week because people aren't paying for that.
Hulk Hogan will be sniffing.
He'll be back. And we'll see Lesnar will be in there.
Yeah.
Before you know it, he's not even that old, but he's he's on that bracket, isn't he? He'll come and put some competitiveness in.
Yeah.
I mean, elsewhere on the card, again, we're talking about it toes the line of being gimmicky, doesn't it? Because you get that Logan Paul, Logan Paul, and Nate Robinson. So Nate Robinson, it was embarrassing.
What was that?
No. Well, he's one of those guys that is an athlete. Yeah, he's an athlete. He won the slam dunk.
Yeah. I think he's got an NBA championship.
Has he? So top athlete.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he can box, mate.
No, it doesn't.
And he clearly couldn't box. He had nil technique. He just kept kind of running forward and
he was wrestling or something. He was like an MMA.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing?
It was a bit embarrassing.
It was very embarrassing.
And it made Logan Paul look really good, who clearly can box, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's a YouTuber. I don't know if he's YouTube, but he's a YouTuber background. But he's obviously taking it very seriously and can box. But now he's calling out Dennis, he's calling out McGregor, and I'm a bit you're not gonna fight Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
But that's it. Dennis maybe.
Yeah.
But you need to fight someone who's a boxer first before you start fighting actual kind of boxers and martial artists. You can't go around fighting other YouTubers and ex-athletes, because you might look good against them, but there's levels to this.
Oh.
Even Dennis, being a grappler, has trained extensively, say with McGregor, with the SBG team. He can strike as well, and it's a closer matchup than that Nate Robinson is. But I think you've got to see Logan Paul fight someone legitimate first.
Well, there is one. Would he beat Tyson?
I think he wouldn't be in the same.
But yeah, as in, could he beat a 50-year-old, someone in his weight class? Could he beat Oscar De La Hoya? Could he beat someone? Could he beat a boxer at the very end of their career? No. I
still think unless you possess superhuman power, i.e. like a Mike Tyson in his day, unless you possess that ridiculous power, and he did look at power, but unless you possess ridiculous power, I think those guys are going to outbox you and helplessly. I don't know. It's something. It's hard to. It's kind of not even worth thinking about, because it's not a realistic.
Yeah.
opportunity. I think, but he does. He needs to, if he wants to take the boxing seriously and he wants to fight some other martial artists or boxers or someone from combat sports, he needs to fight someone who's an actual boxer.
Yeah.
Because that Nate Robinson isn't. He was just an athlete. That he looked good. We should say as well, the ref was a shocker in that. The ref should have stopped after the first one. The first, he was like he face planted in a proper sanctioned. I think it was a proper sanctioned fight.
And he was getting about 15 seconds, I reckon.
Yeah,
like, it was like 8, and he got up. And
he kept telling, do you want to continue? Do you want to continue?
Yeah, and he's like, show me your gloves, and he's like, and he's talking to him, he's like, show me your gloves, and he's like.
See, in an actual, if you find an actual boxer in that, or if you're on a proper boxing card, I suppose, not so much you want, you just wouldn't fly. The commissions wouldn't have that. No. And that, he took it. I'm glad he's okay because he was down when he got the final knockout. He was down for a long time. I was like, oh my god.
Like, people kicked off when the first Tyson Wilder, when he was down for about 11 seconds maybe, and they're like, oh my, like as if he'd been sat there for like 30 seconds. It's like, come on, you really want to end this fight the way he's got up?
Yeah,
come on.
It was bad.
Yeah, but it was just a joke. Yeah, that Nate Robinson is just a joke. But it was the funniest thing was Snoop Dogg on commentary. I don't know if you heard it. Yeah. But did you hear him with the Tyson and Roy Jones when he goes, it's like two uncles fighting at a barbecue? I thought that was brilliant.
It was brilliant. He'll get a full-time gig doing that, doing these like League of Legends fights. He'll get a full-time gig because he's funny.
Didn't the UFC hire him for like? They had like they did like I'm not saying like a Snoop Dogg mob, but they did like, not say he did Contender Series, but I'm sure Snoop Dogg did a couple of. It was like Snoop Dogg and someone like Faber, or there was someone. That,
he might have been in the studio, like in the Fox. I don't think he's done like commentary. Yeah. I think he's been in the studio. You sometimes you see like Rashad Evans or Michael Case or something like that. I think he's been in there and done that. He's got quite a funny personality. I think it just brings he brings different eyes, I guess, to the sport a little bit. So you can see where his value is. Anyway, he was funny. He's no Dan Hardy, but he was funny. All right, before we touch on the footy, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about your hometown, St Helens. Won a cracker of a Super League Grand Final. I'm actually going to watch it over here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, fantastic game. Really, fantastic game. I actually text Jack straight after, and I was like, I hope you saw that. Obviously, he's a big rugby league fan. It was two incredible defenses, and just the way that the game ended was unreal. And we really remiss if we didn't mention it. Final kick of the game. I felt really bad for the I don't know if he's a fullback or the lad who played for Wigan is Devin French.
Right.
I think he's Devin French. I'm going to get messages from people being like, you're murdering this rugby league shout, that lad.
Yeah. That's why we don't do it.
Yeah. But he had a great game, and then he took his eye off the ball for a second in the last second, and it cost him the game.
I mean, like I said, I used to play, I was about 7. Shout out to Head at Warriors. I'm not saying I'm the best of all time, but, I'm up there.
Yeah, name's still etched in the legend of Head at Warriors.
Oh, yeah, I got my participation trophy.
Right.
Every season. It's the only trophy I've got, but it's an award nonetheless. But yeah, when you see the ball bounce, obviously it's going over the try line. As I say, I've not played rugby at any particular high level. You just got to, if in doubt, kick it out. I mean, I don't know what the rules is if you boot it out, but surely when the ball, surely
you should go and surely the ball's just got to go dead, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Surely you put that into Rose's head.
Yeah.
Like when you're scrambling for the ball, slide tackle, do something, and get a limb on that ball and knock it away somehow.
Yeah. I mean, I think it took a funny bounce, didn't it? But he just took his eye. I felt sorry for Devin French because he had a great game. He was one of, if not Wigan's best player, and that must be heartbreaking for him. To be honest with you, as the game was progressing, you were getting towards the end. I thought Wigan looked the more likely to nick it. It's a shame when you see games like that. It's a shame that rugby league, and it's a bit where we're from. It's a very northern sport.
Yeah.
It's a shame that it doesn't get more eyes and more finance, and it's not a bigger sport because it's a cracking game. I don't follow it week in, week out, but I do keep tabs on it even from over here.
It makes you wonder as well, because Saints won it last year, and it's similar to Melbourne Storm in Australia. They know how to win. It's that confidence. You go back to like Liverpool, kind of not to say that those bounces go for you, but in that situation, Like, it just seems as though, not saying they were ready for it, but it's like, it's that mentality. It's not over.
No.
It's never over.
And
You go till the end,
Yeah.
type of thing, and it just makes you wonder from the morale of the squad, from the
It's a mentality.
it's the mentality of saying, no, this is
Yeah.
not done.
Yeah.
We have got one kick, but then it's that kind of initial.
Yeah.
Since it hits the post, it's that.
Well, it's having that mix of
Yeah.
of young, hungry, the youth players. We had one who was he's like 19.
Well,
Yeah. You got the youth coming through there that hungry and ready to prove themselves, but then you've also got them old heads like James Roby, James Graham, who was his last game, wasn't it? And like just that will to win. James, again, we're going back a bit, but James Graham early on in that game, he took a big shot. I bet he broke his ribs, and he played a significant role in the game. You could see early on that his ribs were busted. Just tough blokes, aren't they? Tough blokes. Yeah, so that's us on rugby league.
That's it. For maybe another 12 months.
Tune in next round final.
Yeah, exactly.
Hear our expert opinion. All right, well, this morning, I know you were up early. United, when you went away to PSG, didn't you? Was it at home?
No, it's at home.
Oh, was it at home?
Yeah, so we beat them. We win away. We lose. You know, we lose at home and win away. That's us. Yeah. That's us.
Sorry, I stand corrected. Yeah, you were PSG at home. I didn't watch the game, but I got a WhatsApp from yourself. Probably about 8 o'clock this morning. Wasn't a happy fella.
No. It's not so much losing 3-1 to Paris. Like Paris Saint-Germain finalists last year. It's not really the result, but it's kind of the build up to that and kind of what's happened in between. Because it's, and we said a couple of weeks ago, losing away in Turkey. I mean, they're a bunch of farmers. Let's be honest. Like they're not good. They're not good. It's not good footballers. They're not good. So that's one of them games now where we could have won in Turkey. We would have got 4 wins. These last 2 games, pressure is off, and we get back to focusing on the Premier League. But no, we're making it hard for ourselves, as Man United always do. Okay, that's fine. But in the first 5 minutes, or 6 minutes, Neymar scores. Like, no, okay, not out of the ordinary. And then we slowly get back into it, and I'm thinking, okay. And then Fred, and I've been the biggest advocate of Fred this year. I reckon he's been genuinely our second best player this season behind Bruno. Bruno gets all the headlines because he scores, but Fred does all the dirty work. And we're talking about Fred, and we're talking about Fred the Red. So we also get back in the game through Rashford, which was a lucky goal, to be honest, deflection. And we're slowly holding our own, but before we scored a goal, Fred, there was a couple of challenges that went in, and sometimes if it's a bad tackle, you get a card. Sometimes it's an accumulation, more of an accumulation thing. And then Paredes goes over to Fred, and Fred moves his head in, more or less like a headbutt. And you see it on VAR, and I go, oh, he's done. Yeah. The commentators say he's done, get walking type of thing. Everybody knows. If you watch one game or you've watched 1,000 games, everybody knows it's a red card. He's done. Somehow it goes to VAR and they go, that's a booking. So like, right, okay, that's a booking. So then in the build up to that, I think, well, he should have already been on the yellow. He probably could have been sent off for that yellow when it should have been a straight red. So automatically you think, you take him off. At half time, you've got 5 subs.
5 subs, yeah.
5 subs. No. You see him in the second half. McTominay's having a bit of Neymar as well, both of them are firing, but that's fine because McTominay was kind of smart about it. He was kind of like knocking him over, but it was kind of going for it was not like an obvious thing. He was trying to get, because you can antagonise Neymar.
I was just going to say, you know what you're going to get with
him. And he was trying to, because Neymar was on, Neymar played really well, so he was trying to obviously do his thing. And I'm really critical about Solskjaer for that, because you could see this was coming, this red card. Almost like when Raphael got sent off against Bayern Munich many years ago. You can see it coming. You can see it coming at half time. So take them off. Put a Matic on. Put Donny van der Beek on. Like, why is he on the bench again? So then Fred gets sent off, and it just so happens as soon as they get the winning goal, so the second goal, then And 1 minute later, he gets a yellow card. So he's off. He's sent off. So right, brilliant. We're at home. 2-1 down to PSG, and now we've got 10 men. Now the thing for me is the two most lively attacking players for Man United in the game was Rashford and Cavani. Martial,
didn't he sky over the bar?
Yes, yeah, and he was
And
hopeless. He was
well.
hopeless.
Yeah.
Like Cavani and Rashford played really well. Cavani looked good. Cavani did a lovely chip over the goalkeeper that hit the bar, bounced down. Bruno passed it to him, and Martial hit it over the bar. So Martial has struggled all season, and he's not looked any good. He's the one that stays on, and Rashford and Cavani come off, and like Van der Beek comes on, Greenwood comes on, who's struggling for form. Pogba comes on, and like, you know, Fred got sent off, and then Pogba came on. That's going down to 9 men now. I'm like, he doesn't work. Like, you don't bring him
not
on.
that position, is it?
No, it's like, oh. So I was very critical. It's poor game management, and it's been poor game management since when we lost in Turkey. Like, an experienced manager would have took Fred off, and saw the danger.
Has he got with, well, not so much with Fred, but with the subs he made, has he got an eye on the weekend already? Is it like all the managers now, not all the managers, but especially the teams that play in the Champions League, have got decisions to make in terms of the squad, and Klopp's in the same boat. You know, it's who do you play, when do you play them, how much can you ask them to go again, how much do you push them? Because they're all pulling up now. Is he taking them off with an eye on West Ham? I think it's not the logical thing you'd want to do, but is he thinking, you know, 2 steps ahead?
Well, Rashford, there was a couple of times where he was like holding himself, or it looked like as if he was going to get injured or something, or maybe like something was going to go. So you could excuse him there. But Cavani, there's a very good chance he's going to get a 3-game ban.
Yeah, he doesn't need rest.
So that's what you're resting for?
Yeah.
He was on fire at the weekend. Keep him on, and it's PSG.
Yeah,
he hates PSG now. Like, this is the fixture. This is the whole reason you signed him, so he could score a goal against Paris Saint-Germain.
You know, when people are under pressure, they make those mad decisions, don't they? Coming down which pressure he's feeling at the minute. Because you are going to West Ham at the weekend, who are on a really good run of form, find themselves 5th. If we go back to episode, I don't know what it would have been, episode 1 or 2 this year, we did our Premier League predictions. And didn't you predict that what's his face will be gone? Moyes. Oh,
well, I mentioned Moyes because
I think we both said that we thought Moyes would be gone, and now he suddenly found himself in 5th in the Premier League. Now he has had a favourable run, we'll say. The last 3 games he's had Fulham, Sheffield United, Villa, where they didn't. You said before they didn't look great.
No, but they got the win.
They got the win, and they beat City. Liverpool just got past. It was like an 85th minute winner, I think, from Jota. So I mean, I don't know. I wonder how worried Ollie is about the weekend, because again, we've said this week on week, but he always feels like it's a game away from getting the count, doesn't he? And everyone is coming up to a rough run of games now. This is where and you know, the fact that you've not picked up the win where you needed one there has now put extra pressure on you, because you have to draw. You have to draw, but Leipzig are, you know, no joke, are they?
And this is away in Germany. And
midweek.
Leipzig beat Paris Saint-Germain 2-1 in Leipzig. So I know we beat them 5-0 at home, but that was an anomaly.
Yeah. So Ollie's thinking, I've got a tough game against West Ham. I've got to have a good time for that.
Yeah.
And then I have to go to Germany, get a point, and then you've got to back it up again. Your game of the weekend is.
But afterwards,
after Leipzig, Man City, you can see how the managers are like. Oh my
so when I saw the Champions League group, I said we're not going to qualify. We're done. We're not going to qualify. Then we beat Paris Saint-Germain, and then we beat Red Bull Leipzig. Oh my God, we're going to top the group comfortably. So this is what's annoying, because we got into this position now. And classic United, we're going to throw it away. When we was never in it with a shout, and now we're in with a shout, and very much so.
And you might come up just
and then we're going to come up short. And the thing that's worrying me about this is, you could say we only need a draw in Germany. And okay, you can play for a draw. It's not Jose. Jose would get the point that he needed, like in terms of that game management and that. But and even the manager, that kind of tactical masterclass. But the thing that's worrying me is, we've said all the way along in this podcast, Solskjaer always wins the game
He's not
to
supposed
save his job.
Yeah.
One time, that's not going to work. One time, he fails at that important game that saves his job.
Yeah.
This could be the game when you think, mate, you only needed a point, and you just threw it away in the last minute.
Yeah.
And Man United are shocking on set pieces. They are shocking. For someone with Harry Maguire, the size of his head.
Yeah.
And we still concede on set pieces. There's nothing set pieces at Paris Saint-Germain. It's like got Neymar, got Mbappe.
Yeah.
If they beat us by a top goal, you can't argue.
No.
But no, it's Marquinhos, the captain, centre back, tapping it in on a corner. It's like, come on.
So frustrating. Yeah.
So let's move swiftly on from Man United. And I've not even talked about them winning a 2-0 comeback against Southampton. It was unbelievable.
If you don't talk about United wins.
And I did say, if you listen to last week's podcast, that I wanted Cavani to start the game.
Mm.
Cavani was on the bench, came on at half time, got an assist, and got both goals.
Yeah.
You can't argue.
No, he's got that air of birds off a vine, hasn't he?
Well, it's a bit like Tyson Jones. You don't lose it. That
Yeah.
predator striking instinct, regardless of how old you are, and the runs you make. You might have missing yard of pace or whatever, but you don't lose it. And you look at Cavani, the way he runs about, making his runs, how clever he is. But Martial doesn't do that.
No. Shame we're losing for 3 games.
Well, exactly. Just when he's getting, again, classic United. Just when there's a glimmer of hope, they pull the rug from under us. So,
keeps me entertained.
So, talk to me about your week, mate. I mean, well, actually, first of all, I want to mention. Let's go straight to the weekend because our friend VAR.
As we talked about last weekend, yeah.
Well, yeah, last weekend, yeah. So our friend VAR that we always talk about every week.
Yeah.
The United old boy, Danny Welbeck. I mean, you nearly broke the boy's leg, didn't you? Talk to me. What happened in the Brighton game, mate?
I think the thing about VAR is now, for me, we do keep talking about it, and that's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem with it. It's the first thing that we say. It's the first thing that the analysts say after the game. It's like, oh, what about VAR? Never mind what happened like in the game. What football took place. Yeah. There's always something to do with VAR. And it is a mad one. I tried to do in the game. I can't really argue. The first offside, Salah's one was, it's harsh. It's like by a toenail, isn't it? It's, it's one of those. But fine. If you're drawing a line and he's over the line, fine. Mane's, again, fine. He's over the line. But then the problem with when it comes to like a penalty decision is that it's still subjective. It's still down to somebody's opinion. It's not VAR like, where you have like the Hawkeye or whatever, and it's like, did it cross the line or did it not? It's just more opinions about something that it's not clear. For me, it should just be in the moment. I think it was harsh. It was really harsh. I think to give it as a penalty. We didn't play exceptionally well, especially in that first half. But I thought we did enough probably to win the game, and we've just been, we've been diddled again by a bad penalty.
The worrying thing for me, and I kind of want to get your take on this, but what I've noticed since the VAR came in, certainly this season, is it can be fine margins, it can be letter of the law, it can be whatever the law says. You've got the guy in Stockley Park doing the decision, etc. But the worrying thing is we are yet to see a decision, in my opinion, that the VAR says that's a penalty. And the ref goes over, looks at the TV and goes, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's my decision.
Yeah.
I said no penalty.
Basically.
And he's saying, and the guy in the studio says, no, you've got to give a penalty. And he goes, no, decision stands. Yeah. It's my decision.
I'd love to see that.
And we've not seen it yet, but that's the worry. Because that means every time they go to VAR, this guy says, and they go to the screen, and it goes the other way.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same thing. As soon as you went over to have a look, I was like, exactly. Because it's basically the fella in his caravan in Stockley Park basically saying, "Pen that ref, you should be given that."
Exactly.
And it's as much like they don't want to overrule each other type of thing. Like he can't then look at the screen and go, "No, it's not."
So why have the ref there?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's especially for the offsides, I don't so much mind it because at least it's still a bit like Villa got diddled again, didn't they? Because they had that his arm was like.
But it could have been a penalty. he was grabbing him.
Yeah.
And but then they looked straight at that and go, what about his arm or whatever? Or they look matching up his armpit with his
It's weird,
they're matching up his armpit with his. But then what I don't get is they started to go. Well, I think they changed it. Sorry, I know why they've done that because I think in the last week or so they changed the handball thing to saying kind of like the line of the shoulder or the shirt or something like that. Because I said
that Bamford one.
Yeah, I was like, so why don't you? Cause I was thinking, well, why don't you go right from Bamford's fingernails or whatever you were doing? So, but yeah, we're yet to see something where the referee stands his ground and goes, no, I'm the referee.
Yeah.
And I think it is this. And you're wrong.
No, you're exactly right. And that it was a shame in the end. But, it is what it is. There's so many these VARs we can talk all day about that.
Yeah.
We got given a penalty, and maybe they deserved their point there. But it's almost a shame for Liverpool the way that the midweek game played out for Ajax because we have had a lot of injuries, and we've, I guess, the opposite to what we were just saying about Solskjaer. I feel like Klopp has managed to score quite well. We played a weekend side in midweek. We played quite a few youngsters, a few of the stronger players, but still we're still battling injuries, aren't we? Like Milner's gone down with his hamstring as well, and he hasn't played heaps. So I don't know what it is that's going around because it can't just be the sheer number of games and COVID and stuff. I don't know what it is. It's just a different season, and because Milner's not been played, he's not played that much. I know he's a bit older and stuff, but yeah, to him to go down with a hamstring, something's not right.
Yeah. I wonder if when it's a big game. I wonder if like the adrenaline and having the fans there and the occasion can sometimes get you through something. Like if you're carrying something or whatever, and it's kind of like the fans spur you on, and it's the derby, I can't miss the derby. Whereas sometimes when you're kind of just with your own thoughts, it's an empty stadium, it feels like a training match. And you're like,
maybe,
I don't know.
You haven't got that pressure maybe from the fans, or the immediate pressure that you feel. Maybe, but also maybe because there's so many, there's so many rotations and stuff going on now, or they know the sheer number of games that are coming at them. If Milner goes down there with a bit of a tight hamstring, he's probably like, you better get, like, I could be a hero and play on, but I'm going to do you no favors when I'm out for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You're going to get me off now.
You're going to need me next week. So,
yeah. But anyway, the Ajax game was another tough game. To be honest with you, in Europe, and Ajax are a good side. They're dominating early. I think it came off like a 5-0 win last weekend. They made it tough for us without ever really testing us. But I thought our youngsters just stepped up again. Like the keeper that came in, Kelleher.
How do you even say his first name?
I was called Carmine, but I have no idea how you say it. I don't know.
Kelleher was called Kelleher.
Big K, we'll call him. He played really well. For someone young to come in there, and he's must be a bit of awkwardness, to telling Adrian he's not playing and he's stepping up there, but he did really well, and he didn't look like he had a calamity in him. Sometimes you have those second keepers and they come in and he's our third keeper, but sometimes even when Adrian comes on, he's just like, he'll do something after. Kelleher just seemed safe, made some really good saves, seemed assured. He had a strong defence in front of him in terms of Matip and Fabinho. They just both look incredible, don't they? And considering they're not our first choice centre-back pairing, neither of them. They're doing an incredible job, and again, it's Klopp's management of the squad. And then the youngsters, Nico Williams is 19, but he's considering that he's 19 and that he's not a huge experience. He's doing well and he's stepping up. He combined with Curtis Jones, another youngster who's stepping up for the goal. And you look back now, and we've now, because we've got that, we only did a draw. We don't need a draw, do we? We've qualified based on the top of the group, so the fact that we've qualified now means basically when we go to meet Chilling in the week, that there'll be, I don't know if you'll see a senior player in there, unless somebody needs some time in the legs.
It'll be like that side that last season when you went to the World Cup Championship.
Yeah,
that's the kids, on the same day. There'll be that type of team.
It'll be the 19s and the 23s.
Klopp will be at home.
Possibly. He'll be resting himself. Yeah. But that's the beauty of it, because now more than ever, it gives the players. So we play Wolves on Sunday, followed by Fulham. I think it's the following Sunday. So that gives almost like a full 7 days rest for our first 11 for anyone who's looking to get back, which is gold. It's absolute gold right now, because then after that, we're then playing again a midweek game against Spurs, which is super important, obviously a game for us, and then the weekend against Crystal Palace. These games, as we come to the Christmas period, back to back. But because we've had that win, we've we've bought ourselves a week basically, which is where United have fallen down now because they didn't pick up the results they needed when they needed them.
When they could have.
When they could have. They have, and Liverpool have slipped us a bit as well. We also got a draw, but it's worked out in our favour massively now. And I think I think the mood in the dressing room will be, it'll just be lifted there after that win, just to be like, right, we've done what we set out to do. Are we second in the league on goal difference at the minute? And that's for a dodgy late VAR thing. Yeah. We can look around the dressing room and be like, look at the players we've got out, and look how well we've done. I think it's a massive boost. Yeah. If you look at all the players that are going to come back as well, as we come into this busy kind of Christmas period, I'm feeling pretty confident about it, and I think that Spurs game is huge. If we can get a result over that Spurs, I think you see Liverpool take off.
Yeah, and you might dip into the transfer market.
Yeah, maybe there's lots of rumours about you never know, because you look at the likes of Matip and Fabinho there, and you've got a few youngsters there that can back them up, and you're like, they're great, but I think Klopp will have an eye on the fact that there's no way these two are going to stay fit. No. Not Matip anyway, and he can't back it up. 2 games a week consistently, can't do it. So yeah, there probably is room there where we do need another centre back.
But you might not go, I know I mentioned up in Macamo in terms of Van Dijk, not saying Van Dijk quarter, but you may not go a big name centre back, but it could be a good chance now for you to maybe, I'm a big fan of Ben White at Brighton, a young centre back that's kind of an English centre back.
Yeah,
it could be.
I think it'll be
it could be like a Swifty, someone like around Joe Gomez age, another one just to help out, someone that goes right. Well, Fabinho's injured. Oh, we've got this up and comer.
Yeah, it's somewhere. Just
need another name.
Yeah, it's somewhere below the standard of like Matip.
Yeah,
but above, or with more experience than that Reece Jones.
Yeah,
not Reece Jones.
Reece Williams.
Yeah, somewhere between those guys, and I think that's really what he'd be looking at, because Nat Phillips is another one we've got there, a bit more experience. He's a bit older, but I think he's a bit of a horses for courses game. You can't play him against like a Man City; you'll get absolutely twisted in knots. But if you've got somebody who's going to hoof long balls up and just want someone to put the head on it,
a rainy Tuesday night in Stoke.
He's your man for that rainy Tuesday night in Stoke, isn't he? Absolutely, yeah.
Well, one thing I want to mention with the Premier League, which I think is probably a good topic this week, really. Newcastle and Aston Villa postponed.
Oh yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
First one.
I'm surprised it's taken this long to get one.
Which my question is, how many cases do you need to have in your side before there's a COVID case? Because I'm not being funny. If there's a COVID breakout at Man City and Aguero gets it, De Bruyne gets it, Fernandinho gets it, whoever.
Yeah.
So let's say 5 of their guys, or 6 of their guys get it, they can still play Gabriel Jesus. They can still play Bernardo Silva. They can still play Mahrez. They can still play Gundogan or Rodrigo. Whereas if Burnley miss 6 players, they go, well, we're automatically playing reserves.
Yeah.
So what's the?
I don't know who made the decision.
I'm guessing it was. So they did a statement, and then I think the Premier League contacted Aston Villa and said, "Here's the situation. Newcastle's had an outbreak in the training ground. I don't know how many cases."
We wouldn't have to be many, would it? Because they'd have to even if it was only 1 or 2, and everyone's been there.
Yeah,
they'd have to isolate them all. Wouldn't they? They just wouldn't be able to play.
Exactly. But if they all got tested and it was all negative. What's the real? Because that's just like someone getting injured, and you go, well, like Salah missed a game because of the COVID thing. You don't possible. That's just like, well,
I don't know what the real is. We have to have a read on it.
So it's interesting.
But it is interesting because I'm surprised with all with all the international fixtures that they continue to do, which I thought was a mad idea. I just couldn't believe that there wasn't people coming back and having outbreaks within the club. Yeah. I guess they did quite well in terms of keeping them in some kind of bubble or. However they managed it.
Private jets. So
they're not travelling on the EasyJet across throughout Europe. But when I saw that they were doing that, I was like, it's a matter of time before this happens. And again, this is only the first case. I'm surprised by it, but it'll be interesting even because you've got the bubbles there, but they're starting to let fans in, aren't they? From is it this weekend, or next weekend?
Next weekend.
Which again, it's a bit mad.
Is all this tier stuff?
Makes sense.
Why, like? I don't know how many in terms of applying, but there's about 6 or 7 teams that can have fans.
Yeah, I think Liverpool are one of them.
Yeah.
We can have about 2,000 fans.
So is that an advantage? Is that now a home advantage again, or?
I mean, it's a big stadium with only 2,000.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be an atmosphere, is it? I don't know.
But it's
it's
still 2,000 boos, or still 2,000 things to influence the referee that you didn't have before, as opposed to.
I think it'll be even weirder having a few people there than it would be having no one there. I think it'll be really weird. We won't know because again it's new and it's the first time we've seen it.
Yeah. Well, going back to Villa and Newcastle, I've got a funny feeling because obviously they don't play in Europe, and I think there's like championship games next Tuesday or Wednesday. I've got a feeling that they may do that fixture next week.
No, I think you're right. I think they won't want to wait.
Because Villa already missed a game at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Because of the Man United Man City thing where they got a delay. So Villa are 2 games behind now. Where are they going to fit them in?
Yeah, they're not.
Because then FA Cup will start.
Yeah.
So
the league doesn't let up. They've only got X amount of games before we've got to stop because they need a break before the Euros. Not that many Villa and
Grealish will be there.
Grealish will be gone. But it's like but still, I think they've got to finish the season. I mean, I don't think they want to wait around. I think you're right. I think they'll be playing this on a rainy Tuesday night in Newcastle.
Exactly. And the big fixture this week is obviously me versus you in the fantasy football.
That's a fixture.
I've got 2 Villa players, by the way. I've got Jack Grealish and Matt Target.
Oh, I've got Wilson and Grealish.
Ooh. Yeah. But I actually, and I don't know whether I'm giving you some advice here, but I'm actually going to start them this week.
Just in case.
In the hope that they get tagged on the end of the game week.
Yeah. I think you probably will. I think they'll get this game out pretty quick, so I'm going to leave them. Okay. But we give away the game, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Who's bluffing?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But we agree. We'll stick to it. But that's the real fixture this weekend.
Yeah. It's on everything else. That's it. All right. Well, I think we've come to the end of this one. Thank you very much for tuning in. We really appreciate you coming back. As always, now I'm gonna get this wrong here, but hit the subscribe button, which is either here or it's over there.
I can see it.
We're on full screen now, don't know. But anyway,
maybe it's
hit the subscribe button, give us a like, share it with your mates. We really appreciate it. And thanks for the chat, Grant. It was great as always.
Yeah, first studio podcast. And there's more to come. Christmas has come early, folks. We're in the studio. Thanks for tuning in.